It's so nice to connect with you again. And I was looking at the definition of detachment.
Mm-hmm.
So, detachment, according to Oxford, says the state of being objective or aloof.
Wow.
You know, in spirituality, we consider detachment as one of the important limbs on the journey, on our spiritual journey. So while I was reflecting what it really means to be detached, and I said, let's look up the definition. So according to Oxford, it means to be aloof.
Oof.
And how is that even possible with our day to day life to actually say that we can be aloof and we are being detached? So for a moment, it felt like, you know, two contradictory principles. Like we're trying to practice spirituality and cultivate the mood of detachment. And at the same time, it's while we're still continuing our journey, we have responsibilities, we have things to do, and we can't say we're detached from our work sphere. We have an assignment to complete, and we can't say we're detached from we have kids to feed, and we can't say we're
True.
detached. Uh,
Especially at this day and age where we are so connected with social media. Yeah.
yeah, and I was thinking it's a good topic how to understand how to reconcile this thought of actually being detached. Um, and I came across a beautiful quote by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, which I had saved in my folder for detachment. I will read that for you.
Oh, I'm
He
excited.
says, yeah, he says, true renunciation is not giving up everything,
Hmm.
but giving up the idea that you own anything.
Hmm. So that completes the dictionary meaning of detachment now, right?
Yeah. I mean, it totally, like, it takes detachment to another perspective.
Hmm.
When you're saying aloof, aloof doesn't mean you physically stop doing any activity, but it truly means that the results of those activities is what you want to be detached. And Bhagavad Gita is filled with these verses
Yes.
of how
Yes.
we need to do our action, but still maintain detachment by understanding and giving up the idea, like Maharaj is saying, that you do not own anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, there's a famous saying, right? Be in this world, but not of this world. So that's what
Yeah. Yeah.
Maharaj says, that you can be in this world, operate, like you said, serving our kids and, working in our job circle, but really not attach ourselves and claim proprietorship of all these areas.
Yeah. The most beautiful and striking personality that truly embodied this principle of detachment, I think of Bali Maharaj,
Mm.
the eighth canto,
Mm. Mm.
um, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the eighth canto, so beautifully describes the whole mood of Bali Maharaj and
Yeah.
how he actually, I mean, we worship him as a personality that surrendered everything,
Yeah. Atma
everything,
Nivedan. Yeah.
Atma Nivedanam, completely himself. And oftentimes, this whole idea about cultivating detachment, how, like, I want to be prepared, like even for weight loss, just a simple thing like trying to lose weight, I'm kind of mentally preparing myself. Okay, I'm going to be doing this. I need a week to kind of just mentally train my mind.
Prepare
Okay,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to be off carbs or I'm going to be off sweets. You're just mentally trying to prepare yourself to be detached, right?
Yeah.
But is that what true detachment
Hmm.
is? You know, and but if you look at when detachment is tested, it's at a moment
Hmm.
when you're not really expecting it. You know, that's a test. This whole preparation, actually, that's like when the exam truly comes, how you perform.
That's true. That's true.
You
It's
know?
very easy to give something you don't like or you don't, necessarily need. But what if they take everything from you at that time, like you're saying, like happened with Bali Maharaj? So
Yeah, at
yeah,
a very, very, very vulnerable moment, you know,
yes.
especially in the life of Bali Maharaj. I mean, if you look and if you understand the whole character, he was trying to do an Ashwamedha Yagya, right? A sacrifice. Now, those sacrifices were mainly done to achieve
Mm-hmm.
piety, achieve
Power,
results,
strength.
yeah,
Yeah.
achieve opulence, um, to achieve something.
Yeah.
Now, while doing that sacrifice, a small little dwarf Brahmana comes and says, I want some charity. Give me some charity. And what does he ask for?
Three
Two
steps.
steps.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful because Bali Maharaj at that point, he's like, are you sure you've come to the king? Like, do you want just three steps?
And he was
And
not just an ordinary king. He was the master of the three worlds, like all the three worlds, like the middle, upper, and lower.
exactly.
So
So
he
it's
was,
like, yeah, it's like you go to a billionaire and you tell him that, can I get 20 bucks?
it was like that.
Yeah. So he was like, I mean, come on, you've come to me,
Yeah.
beg in such a way that you never have to beg again.
Yes. Yes.
There's this whole explanation going on. So he's really not prepared. He's not in a space where his detachment is being exhibited. He's in an arena with all his opulence, performing a sacrifice
Yeah.
in pomp and uh, glorification. And, that whole thing was set up to celebrate his
Hmm.
victory and the whole sacrificial arena. Everyone's coming and begging for things, and, he's honoring the sages. That just imagine that arena. And at that point, this dwarf Brahmana says, all I want is three steps. And that too, I will measure them,
Hmm.
with my little feet. It's like I'm a dwarf Brahmana. A dwarf, like how far can his feet stretch?
Yeah, I
You know,
remember Balimaraj says, "How much can your three steps conquer?" He also underestimated those three steps.
yeah, isn't that amazing? And how beautifully. So at that point, when he increases in size, you know, to cover the entire planetary systems in two steps.
Hmm.
He doesn't even need three steps to do that.
Yeah, with two, he takes everything.
Yeah, he takes everything. And at that point of time, not only he takes everything, but then to play even further, he tells Bali Maharaj that, you're a liar.
Yeah.
You haven't really fulfilled your promise. You're not even given me the promised three steps, which you were like kind of bragging, like, oh, you've come to this king. And just imagine the humbling experience.
Yeah.
Imagine the humbling experience.
Yeah, his third
Because
step was on air, and he was having this conversation that when he became Trivikrama, the biggest form of Vishnu, he said, "Where do I keep my third step now?" He started like kind of chastising him that you couldn't even fulfill your promise. And he's a Brahmana, so he's supposed to get all the three steps.
yeah. And at that time, Bali Maharaj very wittily, he says, you can place it on my head. Because if
Mm,
I own all of this, then this you can place the feet on my
mm.
head. And, at
Yes.
that point, Even before this whole thing, something very significant that comes up is that Bali Maharaj's guru, he actually,
Shukracharya. Yeah.
Shukracharya, he tells Bali Maharaj that do not promise. This is
Mm.
not an ordinary Brahmana.
He got to know that he was
Yeah,
disguised
he
as.
knew. He knew. He very well knew that
Yeah.
this is not an ordinary Brahmana. Do not promise and do not give him anything.
Yes.
So at that point, Bali Maharaj had a choice. He could have just backed out and not taken, taken the water in his palm and taken a vow to,
I mean, it was a
actually,
huge risk that he was making. Yeah. Yeah.
but he wishfully did it.
Yeah.
Why? Because at that point, something very significant that came out over there was Srila Prabhupada often mentions in several pages in the Bhagavatam and in several purports in Bhagavad Gita, he mentions that a spiritual master, you should be respected as good as the Lord
God
Himself,
himself. Yeah.
right? And certain places, Srila Prabhupada says that only when a spiritual master deviates from the principle of bringing you closer to Krishna can you give up on the spiritual master. And that's what really happened in this situation.
Mm.
So Shukracharya is telling Bali Maharaj that don't give. This
Mm.
is a this is not a Brahmana, this is Vishnu himself, and he has personally come to take everything away from you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So now Bali Maharaj has a choice whether he listens to his spiritual master,
Mm.
which is completely right and bona fide.
Yes.
He says, you know what, my spiritual master is saying this, and I'm going to abide by that. But what did he decide to do? He said, if the Supreme Lord has come to ask something from me, then why shouldn't I give it?
Yeah.
You know, that
That
if
was his moment of total surrender. Yeah.
yeah, that was his moment of total surrender. That was his moment of not just surrender, but to become detached completely
Yeah.
from the result. He said
Yeah.
this is the right thing to do. Okay, if he's a Brahmana, then I should give him charity. And
Yeah.
even
That's
if
for
he's
his duty.
Vishnu,
Yeah.
then what is there for me to hold back? Because he's
It's only
Vishnu.
his. Yeah. Yeah.
It's everything is his. And
Yes.
this reminds me of Srila Prabhupada's beautiful quote and the
Mm-hmm.
similar lines, where he mentions that surrender is not a weakness.
Mm.
Says it is the courage to trust that the Supreme knows what is best for us.
Wow, that's powerful. Yes. Yeah.
So at that moment, it was true surrender and true detachment, because at that moment, that surrender was not a weakness.
No.
He didn't just
Yeah.
surrender because he didn't have any choice. Like, I
That's
see many a
which
times where,
most of
like,
us face in our lives.
yeah, most of us is like, okay, I just can't do it. I surrender.
Yeah. Yeah.
I give up,
Yes.
you
That
know.
is giving up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what sometimes we, get confused with the moment of surrender. But he really didn't need to surrender. He had everything in place.
Yes.
He
His
had a
guru was
choice.
by his side. Yeah.
His guru was by his side. But surrender is not a weakness, like Srila Prabhupada says. It is the courage to trust the Supreme Lord that he knows the best for us. And that's what Bali Maharaj does. And that's what makes him extremely glorious, because he knew that even if Krishna takes everything, Vishnu comes and takes everything from me, it's still for my betterment.
Yeah. It's still a win-win situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. And I was also thinking about Shukracharya, his guru. Like you said, he would have been completely okay had he said that okay, I abide by my guru because his guru had really helped him get all the powers and strength to get the kingdom back from the devatas.
Mhm.
And so he has that responsibility towards his guru. And in life also, sometimes like material logic, it convinces us that you prioritize self preservation over faith. He'll take everything from you. That was Shukracharya's statement. He'll take everything from you. So what will you have? You will be giving up everything that you have earned. And that's what material logic, that's the moment of choice that Shukracharya represents. I was thinking that that moment of choice that comes in our life keeps coming until the time where we give up. We're like, okay, now we have to give up because we have to give up. But the moment of choice is all the Shukracharya moment always comes in our life, asking us, do you want this? Do you want are you going to go with material intelligence or spiritual wisdom? It keeps nagging us, giving irrational reasons to stick with our material intelligence. But then, yeah, Bali Maharaj's example, he's an epitome of pinnacle of surrender and detachment. So I
Yeah.
really like the point that I really like Shukracharya's character as well, because I can relate it to my life that he is the moment of choice between material intelligence and spiritual wisdom.
Yeah. Isn't that so beautiful? That, surrendering when you have a choice because you know that the person who is asking of you is actually your true well-wisher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That is what makes it devotion,
yes.
you know. Because like I said, like we started our conversation on this whole point, that detachment is not just giving up things,
Mhm.
you know.
It's not renouncing things. Yeah.
It's not just renouncing things, but it's renouncing the ownership,
Mm.
the
Yeah.
results, and actually doing your job, doing your duty, doing your. So he was doing whatever was needed.
Mm.
And at the same time, he became completely detached, knowing that the person who's asking from me is my true well wisher. So, what is there to fear? What is really there to fear?
It
You
came
know?
up in Vritrasura's pastime as well. Remember that we discussed that surrender is not about just renouncing everything, but we do our best, engage in our best efforts, but again, like you said, not claiming any proprietorship. And I mean, these characters from the pages of Bhagavatam, they teach us beautiful lessons, and really we have to apply them in our lives.
Yeah, yeah. There's actually a beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita, in the
Mhm.
second chapter,
Mhm.
text 50, where, Srila Prabhupada has translated it as a man engaged in devotional service rids himself from both good
Mhm.
and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is a part of all work. So, referring to this whole point that detachment doesn't mean becoming aloof, like Oxford tells us to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just giving you a very superficial definition. It's telling us what to become aloof from is what Bhagavad Gita is telling us.
Mm.
Not just become aloof from the activity, but become aloof from the results of the activity.
Mm.
So
Yes.
Bali Maharaj did not become aloof from the activity. He performed his activity to the T.
Mm.
Okay, there's no place to put the third step. Go ahead and put it on my head. Let me do I promised you, let me do my best.
Mm.
This
Yes.
is my best. And the action that's going to come from that, that's on you. That's on you, Krishna. You asked for it, and I'm completely surrendered.
Actually, Gaurang Darshan Prabhu mentioned in one of the Bhagavatam class this, that when you're doing your duty, like being a mother or just being, working, doing your duty or being responsible is not attachment. So you are doing your duty like Bali Maharaj did. But detachment does not mean irresponsibility. So you have to do your duty, you have to be responsible. but at the same time be detached, not from your responsibilities, but from the from the end goal, from the fruits that come out of that or could come out of that. That we have to give it to the Lord.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? But, one thing that's amazing is that, in that arena, there was not just Bali Maharaj and Shukracharya. There were several other people who experienced this whole event in their own way. Like Shukracharya, he experienced this event in his own way. Bali Maharaj experienced this event in its own way. Shukracharya actually, when Bali Maharaj said, you know what, if this is Vishnu, then I should surrender everything unto him. So at
Yeah.
that point, he curses Bali Maharaj. And he says, okay, you're going to be disobedient to your guru. May you lose everything,
Mm. Yeah.
right?
Mm.
So that curse was fulfilled because
Yes.
he did lose everything,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And in the same arena, there was Bali Maharaj's sister, Ratnamala, who was
Hmm.
sitting in the same arena. So, Vamana, when he walks in, this most charming personality in the form of a dwarf, when he walks in, she at a moment has this desire that, what a beautiful child. I wish I could raise a child like him. She has this intense motherly affection for him. But over a period of time, over the whole conversation, and when Bali Maharaj is cheated and his kingdom is taken away, and Vamadev actually expands himself. And when Ratnamala sees this whole thing, she has this intense anger and hatred towards Bali Maharaj, experiencing um, pain, experiencing pain of her brother losing everything, experiencing the feeling of being cheated. She holds on to that feeling.
So hatred against the Brahmana boy because
Yeah,
of all
against
that.
Vamadev. Because
Yeah.
she has this intense feeling when he comes in, like, oh, I want to nurture
A
him as my
small
baby.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But towards the end, when she notices that, her brother has been cheated, she develops its strong hatred. So even Bali Maharaj actually had a choice
Mm.
to become, angry
Yeah.
or resentful, or say, you know what, this is not what you promised. This is not what I promised. I promised you 3 steps of your body as
Small.
a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he could have debated,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
all of that discussion could have happened.
Yes.
Where Ratnamala, she held on to the feeling of hatred of and the thought of being cheated. And what happened? She had to take birth as Putna, where she
Mm.
was able to nurture Krishna and nourish him with her milk, but poisoned,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Because she had that in her in this
She had
Ratnamala.
that feeling of wanting to kill,
Yeah.
wanting to nourish the child as her own child, but at the same time wanting to kill Vamandev.
Wow. Amazing.
She held on to that, but Bali Maharaj did not hold on to that.
Mm. Mm.
So even in our life, when circumstances come where we are forced to be detached, that's truly our test of how we have been cultivating the spirit of detachment,
Throughout.
throughout our practice of spirituality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when that actual moment comes, all of a sudden, out of the blue, everything is taken away. Are we complaining? Are we blaming?
Mm.
Becoming angry? Are we becoming resentful? Are we
Control. Yeah.
are we becoming angry? Are we becoming hate, cultivating hatred within our hearts for the Lord? Why did this happen to me? I'm a devotee. How could
Mm.
this ever happen to me? How
I've
could,
never done anything bad. Yeah.
yeah, we could do that? Or we could learn from someone like Bali Maharaj,
Mm.
who took everything. Not only that, Vaman Dev says, you're a liar and he binds him.
Hmm.
And he's, but Bali Maharaj at that point, he says, okay, he accepts the
Hmm.
mood, and what really happens? You know,
It's
it,
magic. Yeah, yeah.
it's
And
completely.
you know what? There are acharyas who have commented on these three steps. Like I was also reflecting on how you were saying the three how the three ways of surrendering and Vritrasura's prayers, mind, body, and words. And Bali Maharaj's three steps are also kind of similar, because the first step he took, as you said, he took away, I think, the lower planetary systems and the Earth, and he took away that. So that symbolizes everything connected to us externally: our job, our status, our family members, anything that is, connected to us, external achievements. So, with that, he's teaching that let go of your external achievements, let go of the identification that you are your title, or you are you are from this family. Of course, again, detachment does not mean that you don't do your responsibility, but you work hard, give your best in your relationships, but don't possess. And the most the most learning I've got that is from being a parent, that it is I have a 3-year old. It's a very humbling lesson on detachment, because you think you have control, but I don't have control over anything. I don't have control over her sleep schedule, about her health. Today she's okay, tomorrow she falls sick and comes back home, and what she'll become in the future. So
Oh, wait till she becomes a teenager.
that's true.
I have a
Yeah,
teenage boy. You
exactly.
know you have no control.
I know you have one. I have two.
I
So, but
do.
yeah, but time again, life teaches you, Krishna teaches you that we're just facilitator. We are not in control. We don't own our, kids. We don't own our job. But ultimately, it's in Krishna's hands. So this was the first step. Second step, he takes away the higher planetary systems, which symbolizes mind. So detaching from your mind, through your mind, which
Mhm.
is it's very easy to declutter. Okay, I have, I'm living a very minimalistic life. People say that these days. I keep seeing that in social media, that I'm living a very minimalistic life and all. But really, a lot of detachment here is here on the head, where we have to let go of our results from security, personal gain, and any titles, the need for validation, which we always do. Like, we let our happiness be dictated by other things, by how people feel for us. But with that step, Bali Maharaj, Vamana Dev, so that second step, he's saying that let go of that. You can do your best, but you don't let your happiness be judged by how people think of you. For example, if you're doing any service at the temple, and a lot of time it happens, right? We are not appreciated for our services, or sometimes people forget. They take your name. They forget to take your name in the list of acknowledgements, and
Right.
you feel bad. But are you really doing service to be acknowledged? Do you really need that um, feeling of being validated by just your name being taken in front of so many devotees or people? Are you not satisfied by the service that you did, and the mood of service that you did it just to please the Lord and his devotees? So I really found that very. The second one is really very important, which is and which is, yeah, really detaching from your ego, your mind, through your ego and mind. And the third step, like we were discussing, he's the epitome of Atma Nivedana. So when he kept his foot on his head, he's saying, now I've detached through my body, my mind. I've given everything that I own. Now, soul, from detaching through the soul, that the soul is yours. I have no control. We, like, throughout our lives, we think we have control over some things, right? How my Either we try our self-worth to something. So releasing that need of control, and just surrendering to Krishna. It's the deepest level of surrender. I'm not there yet, but I'm just, just by reading this experience and pastime, um, it's just amazing how Bali Maharaj was able to do this.
Yeah. It's, yeah, so beautifully you summarize the three steps and how significantly they impact our own lives. You
Oh.
know, we might, it's not about being there. Of course, some sort of validation encourages us, you know,
Mm,
but at the same time, if it's not received, that doesn't mean that you give up or you
mm,
become hardened. Okay,
yeah.
validation or recognition or acknowledgement is encouraging.
Mm,
It can be received. But when it becomes expected,
mm.
then that starts to become detrimental.
Or
So
you
if,
put your self worth on that, like
correct,
yeah, yeah. Shukracharya on our in our mind can say, next time don't do this service. You are not recognized for that. It's okay. Don't put your so much in this service, or helping so and so devotees. But it's not that. It's yeah, that kind of validation we're not looking for. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's a very beautiful points to meditate on. And actually, Bali Maharaj really uh, signified surrender and detachment simultaneously,
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
because because he did not know what was in store for him,
Hmm.
and seeing that wonderful mood that he had of acceptance, seeing that wonderful mood of acceptance, Krishna gives him something even more beautiful than can be imagined. In fact, in the eighth canto, I think it's the eighth canto, 22nd chapter. And,
Mm-hmm.
um, in the eighth canto, 22nd chapter, 33rd verse.
8:22:33. Okay.
Let me read that. Yeah, 8
Mm-hmm.
20 to 33. So over here, it says, O Bali Maharaj, now you may go to the planet of Sutala, which is desired even by the demigods. Live there peacefully, surrounded by your family and friends. All good fortune unto you.
Wow,
So,
he
what do
got
we learn?
something greater than what he lost. Yeah. Desired by demigods. Wow.
Till a certain moment, it was like he's lost everything. He's lost everything. He's been tied up. But because his mood was that of complete detachment and surrender, Krishna, he grants him. And not only that, in the following verses 34, it says, on the planet Sutala, not even the predominating deities of other planets, what to speak of ordinary people, will be able to conquer you. So,
Wow.
leave alone ordinary people trying to conquer you, even the deities from other planets, they cannot come and conquer you. As far as demons are concerned, if they transgress your rule, my disc will kill them.
So
That
he was
means he's giving
guarding.
them
Yeah.
complete ownership
Wow.
of the kingdom. And not just ownership, he actually mentioned, in the verse, it says, O great hero, I shall be with you
Yeah.
and give you protection in all respects, along with your associates and paraphernalia. Moreover, um, you will always be able to see me here, because he becomes the doorman.
Wow. Isn't this beautiful? He
Yeah,
gets something amazing materially, but also the Lord is protecting his
right. I mean,
planet.
even though he had the kingdom,
Yeah.
the Lord was not really personally there with him.
Yeah.
Now he got something better, and
Yeah.
with this whole situation, something better came about, not only in the material perspective, but
Yeah.
then he has the Lord standing right there,
Yeah. He's
protecting him personally.
Yeah.
because of his mood of sincere detachment.
The choice that he made. Yeah.
Yeah, the mood of sincere detachment when he had choices.
Hmm.
And it would be completely okay with making those choices. But
Yes.
he chose to be detached. He chose to be detached because of the principle that Srila Prabhupada actually mentions, you know, that
Yeah.
surrender is not a weakness, it is courage to trust. So when situations come in our life, if we can gather that courage to trust that whatever is coming in my life, it is for the best
Mm.
because the Supreme Lord knows what is best for me, then we can be completely detached and surrendered.
Yeah, and like you said, I would like to underscore that it's not that we leave doing our hard work. It's not that we, just become passive, but we need to do what is best. But and those moments where we think we cannot control, we cannot make a decision for ourselves, leave, detach from the results. Especially the problems come when we detach with the results. Detachment with what status I would hold, my kids, everything. That kind of detachment. And because you mentioned Srila Prabhupada, I would like to read this verse from Bhagavad Gita 259.
Mhm.
He says, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains. But seizing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So I was remembering that Srila Prabhupada always says, and this is in our principle, that we cannot detach, like you said, when you were reading the dictionary definition, aloof, that was bothering me a little bit because we cannot be aloof being in this world. It's so hard to be aloof. And
Yeah.
renunciation is not detachment. Renouncing everything artificially is not a detachment. Even Krishna did not recommend Arjuna to leave the battlefield and go in the forest. But on the hindsight, he asked him to fight with everything, all his might, all his intelligence that he had. And Krishna said, I'll be there for you. And Krishna was his chariot driver, like Krishna was is the doorkeeper for Bali Maharaj. So I was just remembering that Srila Prabhupada was walking with some few of his disciples, and they saw some leaves fallen down from the tree, the foliage, and he said, "Look, the leaves are dried and detached now from the tree." And so he said, like these leaves are detached from the tree, we are detached from our true source, which is Krishna. We need to attach ourselves to Krishna, and then only we'll be able to detach ourselves from these material things. And then one disciple said, yeah, it makes sense, Srila Prabhupada, that one of these leaves, if someone tries to attach them back to the tree, it's waste. And that is what we're trying to do. We are these, we're this dried leaves. We're trying to attach ourselves somehow back to this material world, in terms of family, job, whatever. And we're trying to find happiness here, find our permanence here, but we have to go the other way around. We have to attach our consciousness to spirituality and Krishna and his lotus feet and his instructions, and then we will be truly be attached to the right thing. And Guru Maharaj also says the same thing. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj also says the same thing, that it's not in our capacity to be truly detached from the lures of this world, the greed, the wealth, but we can only be detached if we have something higher to be attached to. And that higher is what Krishna brings us.
Yeah. That is so true. That is so true. And that was exemplified in Bali Maharaj. You know,
Yeah.
there is no question of being able to be detached until he was really attached to Krishna and his lineage. He was, he came from the lineage of Prahlad Maharaj, who exemplified devotion.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
he came from
Although
a
from a
lineage.
demon family, but still Prahlad Maharaj was, yeah, he was an exceptional devotee.
Yeah, so the lineage was, uh, that had devotees like Prahlad Maharaj who exemplified
Yeah.
complete surrender to the Lord. And similarly, Bali Maharaj, through his life, I mean, how he dealt with the situation tells us what foundation he really had, you know, what he really cultivated. you know. um, and to the very point that you were mentioning, there is Shrimad Bhagavatam actually mentions that all that is yours is but on loan,
Yeah.
and it will be returned to its true owner. It
Mm.
will be returned to its true owner. So what really the whole thing
Yeah.
that happened in Bali Maharaj's pastime actually belonged to the Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
So he had it for a certain amount of time. He returned it back to this Lord. And because he willingly did it and with
Hmm.
great joy did it, he was
Yes.
granted even more
Yeah. That's
and
true.
even better.
Yeah.
Simply in our life, if we can cultivate such detachment, not becoming aloof, but
Yeah.
becoming aloof from the ownership of the results. That is what is beautiful. And that is what truly Bali Maharaj signifies. And such important lessons to learn from these pages
Amazing.
of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful to connect with you. It was,
Nice. Yeah, it was really nice and deep, heartwarming conversations. I hope we can apply this in our lives. And why don't you all tell us what are your three steps of detachment? Thank you so
well,
much. Thank you for tuning into Spirit Talks.
thank you. Bye bye.